We have a massive New York Knicks update as NBA insider Charania has revealed the truth on multiple New York Knicks injuries that'll have a direct effect on this New York Knicks season going forwards, as the Knicks are very clearly in need of more defensive help from guys like Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby, who are currently dealing with injuries. On top of this, there are fans calling for Tom Thibodeau's job. So obviously these two getting back is important, and there's a lot of updates to discuss. So we'll jump right into it as always, guys. What's up? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. And guys, if you're enjoying the channel, make sure to subscribe. If you're part of that 68% of people not subscribed watching Knicks Digest and you want daily New York Knicks news, rumors, updates on the buyout market, updates on wins, losses, game recaps, fun live streams, a bunch of great stuff on this channel you don't want to miss out. But let's jump into this, guys, because we do have a lot to discuss. The New York Knicks, well, things have gone a little sideways after that loss against the Boston Celtics. Fans are calling for Tom Thibodeau's job, and on top of this, it's very evidently clear that without Mitchell Robinson or OG Anunoby, the New York Knicks will be going nowhere fast in the playoffs. They're going to be dealing with teams that have multiple offensive outlets, and the Knicks, meanwhile being a good offensive team, have showed some weaknesses when they don't have Anunoby and Robinson out there. Now, obviously, the Knicks have not had Robinson out there at all this season thus far, but Mitchell Robinson now has a very clear update on his timeline, which is absolutely massive for the New York Knicks. Now, diving into all of this, Shams said that he's told the Knicks have a goal of before March 1st, potentially, for Mitchell Robinson's season debut. Now, with Mitch, here's the thing, guys. We made this new background just for him. No, I'm kidding. But look, with Mitch, it's the slow burn. The Knicks, it's like that Isaiah Thomas thing, that slow grind. It's really, the Knicks don't care about Mitchell Robinson playing on February 9th, February 10th. They care about Mitchell Robinson playing in March, April, May, and hopefully June. So, essentially, where we're at right now with the New York Knicks, it's just this situation of they want to make sure Mitchell Robinson's fully healthy. They're taking things very slow. As we know, Mitchell Robinson is doing everything on the court except for one thing. He's not doing 5-on-5 scrimmages yet, which is the final hurdle you have to jump in order to get back on the court. Is he healthy enough to do it? Most likely. Are the Knicks okay with most likely? Absolutely not. I talked about this on a recent video. The Knicks overhauled a lot of their training staff with Mitchell Robinson, with his injuries, and that's a huge reason why. I mean, they had him come back too early, and that's part of the reason why Mitchell Robinson has been dealing with these injuries and why he's still not played a game this season. Now, a huge part of it, objectively the part of it mentioned by Ian Begley, is the fact that Joel Embiid pulled down Mitchell Robinson's leg when Robinson went up to jump. It's not that Embiid completely ruined everything. He ruined most things. And by that, I mean Mitch was already injured. He had a stress fracture that he came back too early from and was clearly hurting. However, when you try to jump and that same leg gets yanked down by Joel Embiid, it causes such further injury to where there's fear of if Mitchell Robinson will ever play again. And on top of that, what happened is we're now looking at Mitch have a much longer recovery time because of the extensive injuries that Joel Embiid worsened by like triple. Like he literally tripled the injury that Mitchell Robinson had. So this is really, a lot of it does come down to Joel Embiid being a scumbag, but whatever, nothing really we can really do about that. It's out of our control. Karma's clearly bit Joel Embiid as the man's been less healthy than usual now, and the 76ers are a nightmare, so that's a shame for them. I'm sorry, Philadelphia, that you're a disaster, but actually I'm not sorry at all, and I hope the Eagles lose in the Super Bowl today, which is today. So if you're seeing this tomorrow, well, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. However, with Mitchell Robinson, it's known the Knicks need him. The Knicks are going to be much, much better with him. And he's just a player who's vital to this team. And the same goes for OG Anunoby, who Shams also gave an injury update to, saying that he's told specifically it's a toe issue. He's targeting the return sometime after All-Star break, and it's more of an irritating injury, not something structurally wrong or serious. Now, that is a good sign. It is. Obviously, it's a good sign to know that OG Anunoby, it's not something that's structurally wrong. It's not some serious injury. It's a pain injury. It's kind of what they call a stinger in a way. Like, it's one of those where it's just, it sucks. It hurts. It's painful. It's just irritating him. And I was talking to Raptors fans, and Raptors Digest Ben Rogers about OG Anunoby literally just like 10 minutes before I filmed this video. But I was talking to Ben, and he mentioned something that Raptors fans picked up on that Knicks fans maybe have not seen yet, because it does take a while to realize this with OG, is that he has a very low pain tolerance. OG is not someone who wants to play through pain at all. He has no interest in doing that. If he's hurt, he feels it hard. He's just got a very, very low threshold for pain. So if basically if I were to just bang my hand on my desk that I use to film these videos on, it would hurt. But if you're OG, it just hurts more. He does not like pain at all. And we've seen this. We've seen OG have these nagging injuries that he doesn't plan. The only time we've seen OG plan an injury is when he had that hamstring injury that he really should not have played on against the Pacers in Game 7. Played for 5 minutes, scored 5 points, then came out and couldn't come back in because his hamstring wasn't working. It was the right call in the grand scheme of things. The Knicks were not going to beat the Celtics when they had half their team injured, but still, it was a crushing blow to the end of the season. And yes, OG Anunoby is somewhat injury prone. He deals with a lot of injuries on top of having a low threshold for pain, and it sucks. But OG will not be injured for long, it seems like, which is very important. Clearly, the Knicks need OG Anunoby. They need Mitchell Robinson. It's just the way that this team just gives up an absolute offensive barrage from the Boston Celtics. Meanwhile, it's not like Drew Holiday or Porzingis even played this game. You're looking at Luke Cornett dominating Karl Anthony Towns. You're looking at Jason Tatum going for 40-plus points. That's not happening if OG Anunoby's guarding him. And yes, Mikal Bridges was out there. Yes, Mikal Bridges should have done better. No, Mikal Bridges did not do better because he's not strong enough to guard Jason Tatum. He's great against guards and forwards who are not going to be able to body you. When you find someone who's going to be able to body you, that's when you throw OG on them. But when you don't have OG, you're dealing with issues. So it's important to note that the Knicks, clearly their defense relies heavily on having Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby on this team fully healthy, or they'll continually be in trouble. On top of that, OG's also just a good offensive player, and we're seeing Precious Achiuwa jump in OG's spot, and the Knicks are worse because they're going less 5 out. Achiuwa's not a great scorer. He's a very great defender, but he's not a great scorer. And clearly we're seeing an issue here. The man had a terrible game. There's nothing else to say about it. It was a terrible game. Mikal Bridges had a terrible game as well. Karl Anthony Towns had the worst game of his Knicks career, and that's because he's injured as well. And we will talk about that in a separate video, probably tomorrow. On top of that, Jalen Brunson is the greatest player of all time, and that's really, it's that. We have Jalen Brunson, and outside of Jalen Brunson, we've seen the Knicks struggle mightily, and having OG and Mitchell Robinson there would help the New York Knicks just an astounding amount. So the Knicks do need to get them back very, very soon. I do imagine that they'll both be playing soon after the All-Star break. That's my guess. I mean, there's a couple games after the All-Star break before March. Mitchell Robinson will debut in one of those. OG will be back probably around a similar timeline. If they want to keep OG out for a little bit longer because they want to make sure that OG just isn't dealing with pain so he doesn't think about it, get in his head, play worse on defense, continue to have that injury nag a little bit longer, I don't mind. I don't mind if the Knicks rest OG for longer because they want to make sure that he's fully healthy. That's not something that bothers me whatsoever. I'm completely fine with that. And in fact, I would not hate if the Knicks fell to the 4 seed to begin with so they could play Cleveland in the second round, not Boston, because clearly Boston has the Knicks number right now. So, and I understand the Knicks have never played Boston healthy. They haven't had Mitchell Robinson, who's a force and is very, very helpful against a team like Boston. But regardless, clearly, I mean, especially with the pick and rolls Boston runs, I mean, Towns is just getting cooked up and down the court. So there is that to mention as well, why Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby are important, because they're help defense. So they're going to need them both back if they want any chance at Boston in the playoffs. They could beat Cleveland. I really don't think Cleveland's going to be great in the playoffs. I don't think a team with 2 scoring guards who are not great defenders and 2 forwards who are great defenders but can't really score or shoot the ball. I don't see it working. I don't think that model works in the playoffs in the NBA. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, they've been good all season. I've been pretty surprised by the way they're playing, but this does scream regular season team to me. So if the Knicks want to drop a few games because they're letting OG and Mitch get fully healthy, I really don't mind that. I do not mind if Tom Thibodeau decides to do that, but Tom Thibodeau, as we all know, is not known for resting his players and doing anything like that, and it's led to fans really calling for his head. Knicks fans, they want Tibbs fired. They do. After that game, they want Tibbs fired. And is it one game that maybe it's an overreaction to? Yes. Is Tom Thibodeau now consistently putting out weird rotations? Yes. Is he a perfect coach? Absolutely not. Is he a fine coach? Absolutely he is. So it's a matter of who's better out there. It's tough to imagine they'd be able to convince Dan Hurley to break his contract with UConn. So I imagine Tibbs is going to coach till his contract runs out, or until Leon Rose just has enough with Tibbs, and then the Knicks will throw an unbelievable amount of money at Dan Hurley to be their next head coach. And Dan Hurley will probably be the Knicks head coach after Tom Thibodeau. That's my bet. It's been my bet for over a year now. So that's what I'd imagine would happen. But guys, that's all I got for you. So like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks.